You're listening to Talk Daredevil, the official podcast of the Save Daredevil campaign.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Talk Daredevil podcast, the official podcast of the Saved Daredevil campaign. I'm Phyllis, and today I am joined by two lovely team members, Aisha.
Hi.
And Shelby.
Hey, y'all.
And today we're going to talk about a bunch of questions and comments that have come up about our transition from Save Daredevil to the Saved Daredevil campaign. And we're also going to give you guys a little preview of what we have cooking for San Diego Comic-Con 2022. We're not going to waste time. We want to jump right into talking about kind of what we've been doing as a campaign behind the scenes as we start pivoting, basically, what you used to know as the Save Daredevil, Save Our Show campaign to Saved Daredevil, which is going to be more of a common gathering place for Daredevil fans.
You know, we're not going anywhere.
It's so interesting about these transitions that we've gone through as a campaign. Like, remember back in 2018 and when we were the Renew Daredevil and then the show got canceled and we pivoted. You used that word, Phyllis. We pivoted in from Renew to Save Daredevil. And after 3 years of fighting for this cause and, hoping that we get our show back, we finally got the announcement last month that Daredevil, a new Daredevil show, is in the works. All the trades announce it. And now we are pivoting into the Saved Daredevil phase of the campaign. And I love it. Don't you love it?
It's a new era. It's a new era for the campaign.
Guys, you know how I say more is more? We just added another D. But
anyway, the idea for this podcast basically came up because ever since that announcement, we have legitimately gotten a lot of questions as far as like, hey, why are you guys Saved Daredevil now? Like, are you sure the show is saved? The announcement itself being that, it was going to be a new show for Disney Plus versus, some of the other platforms we have talked about in the past, and being led by a pair of showrunners that a lot of people perhaps weren't familiar with, Corman and Ord. It just raised a lot of questions. And while we did touch upon some of these in one of our recent live streams, we figured podcast is a great place to kind of go a little deeper, bring in some voices like Shelby, maybe perhaps one of our Corman and Ord experts.
Yes.
To just start laying out some info for everyone here. So I guess let's start with that one. Basically, this is a question that we actually have on our FAQ, but why did Marvel hire the writers of Deck the Halls to write the new Daredevil show? People are worried that, they don't have the experience to make Daredevil dark and gritty. And Shelby, we're going to throw this one to you.
This is what's funny, because if I could go back to 2012, when I was watching Covert Affairs, I would like to just tell y'all that I knew that this was going to happen. I knew that being a Covert Affairs fan was going to pay off in some huge way. But when I read this, I was like, what? My fandoms collide. What is happening? I was not a Covert Affairs watcher from the very beginning. I'd like to say that, but I didn't. I jumped in at season 3. And I will just say this, that Corman and Ord have proven themselves to be, how can I say this? They are showrunners with experience doing multi-seasons. They know how to do TV. Let's throw that in there. They know how to film action sequences. I mean, this was back, USA Network, I don't know if anybody remembers. They had the big summer, what was it? Characters Welcome? Was that
Yes,
there?
Characters Welcome.
You had suits and white collar and
Mr. Robot was part of, maybe later into the USA run where they kind of were also trying to do a little bit more prestige.
Right, they were trying to get into the, they started off out being a procedural show, and then it was more serialized storytelling as it went on. They know how to write for a blind character. There was a blind character on the show. They know how to write sex. It's sexy.
Good characterization.
They also know they're very good at dealing with a character that kind of has a double life. Annie Walker, she was a spy, but she couldn't tell her family. She had this whole other story that she told her sister, that she worked at a museum. And
oh, wow.
So it's kind of a little like Matt Murdock, trying to lead two lives. If you're worried about it being like, you're like, oh, Covert Affairs was like PG. I don't even know what it would consider. It was like a 9 or 10 o'clock show, 14, 15, whatever. They put Annie through some stuff, you guys. It got dark. Covert Affairs could get dark. Maybe not a lot of blood and like guts. It was pretty dark. Is that a thing? Like fashionably dark?
There's like the violence, gore, like what you see, right? And then there are the themes.
Yeah, like mental torture and like being in a Russian prison. Like I don't want to spoil it for anybody who wants to watch it, but
there are different ways of being dark and mature.
And they also went on. I haven't watched anything. I don't think that they went on to do Containment. Just know that I am really excited being a Covert Affairs fan, and I know that there are other Covert Affairs fans that watched Daredevil 2 that feel very comfortable with this decision.
And I think it's also a good time to mention that with our last Daredevil showrunner, Mr. Eric Olson, there was a similar amount of apprehension, I think.
Because of his history.
Yeah, with the CW. He was a CW person. Didn't he come from like...
He came from Arrow.
But so did Stephen DeKnight. Stephen DeKnight came from like...
Smallville.
Buffy? I love Buffy though.
Buffy, Smallville. What I find interesting that you mentioned a little earlier was like, these are guys who come from just a slightly different generation of TV writing.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, I'm no expert, but the landscape is definitely very different in terms of what kind of stuff TV writers are cutting their teeth on and how they are writing for TV, especially in the streaming age. And I honestly really love that there are going to be showrunners coming into this particular show, our particular show, with the experience and the knowledge and the depth of knowledge that comes with actually showrunning a TV show. Now, whether...
Right, and a full writer's room. And
yeah, now whether, again, the question is whether Marvel Studios is going to let them fully exercise all those muscles, because they do have their own system that they have in place, but it's different compared to if they're putting in someone who doesn't have any showrunning experience at all into their machine versus someone who does. So I'm kind of curious to see how that bears out. I think, having people who understand how to write for characters. This came up, Shelby, in the Moon Knight pod. We just want Marvel Studio to embrace character studies. We want them to embrace not just rushing through 6 episodes to get to the next bridge to the next MCU project. We want there to be,
like you say, character development with a whole cast, with the supporting cast. When you watch Covert Affairs, you care just as much about what Joan and Arthur were going through, just like Annie and Augie. So that excites me too.
And this is not entirely related, but I do want to jump off of that observation and say that currently the show that's on right now, Miss Marvel, has been doing a beautiful job actually with its supporting cast. And I have felt that previous Disney Plus Marvel Studio shows have not done as well by their supporting cast. So I know with the right people, it can be done.
I agree. How much? Wait, just for a second, just for a pause. How much are we loving Miss Marvel? Just a quick, how much?
Oh my gosh!
Oh my god! I could talk about this for hours, and I have been after watching every episode. I've been talking to you guys. I've been talking to my brother's family. I've been talking to friends I've been watching with. Like everyone, whether they're Pakistani or not, everyone that I'm watching it, they want to call me after every episode and get my views or get more insight. And I'm loving it. And I agree that the characterization, they're taking time with that, and it feels very organic.
Yeah, I think they're getting better with each show. Hopefully, fingers crossed here. They're getting better with each show at managing time and knowing, And this one, especially Miss Marvel, feels like the first show made for TV, like a real TV show to me, and that excites me.
And the pacing is also better than previous shows, so it's giving me a lot of positive thoughts and hopes for the future.
Yeah, every time I watch it, I cry in every episode because just the family part of it, just her relationship with her mom just makes me just like, I can't watch this in the morning before work because I'm gonna cry. But anyway, yeah, so just a small shout out, Miss Marvel. Love it.
And yeah, I also just want to add, I don't mince my words when I'm not enjoying something.
That's why we love you, Phyllis.
And so I just want to end this little detour by saying that I too am loving Miss Marvel. So take what you will from those comments. I'm sure we're going to record a pod about the whole series at some point. I agree. There's some promising developments here, especially with characters that Marvel Studios hasn't handled yet before. And when they entrust it to people who have a strong perspective and vision, I think there are some interesting things that can still happen, even if it's being done within the Marvel system. I do think, actually, in some ways, having kind of a specific point of view is still more beneficial for creatives who are working on the TV side than the movie side. Actually, I think the movie machine still kind of strips away some of the uniqueness from certain directors' points of view and styles. But like Miss Marvel, again, is like a great example of this. It is retaining its voice and its style and its point of view brilliantly. Like, it's a show, whenever I watch it and I look at it, I'm like, this just doesn't look anything like I've been watching on Disney Plus so far.
It's its own thing.
I don't want us to get too in the weeds about Miss Marvel, but there are good signs, I think.
I agree. So back talking about covert affairs again, do you guys remember the Karen episode?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Do we know who wrote that?
I know who wrote it.
Well, one of my besties. Guess where she came from? Let me shout out Tamara Becker Wilkinson.
Who also did 10 Questions with us.
She sure did.
Yes, she did.
Was it 2 years ago?
She has been great to us. Me and Rhiannon have known her since Covert Affairs because she was a writer on Covert Affairs, you guys. And I know a lot of people really enjoyed that episode for being, giving us that Karen backstory.
She needed backstory, yeah.
So that's exciting.
So I'm going to jump us to another question that has come up a little more recently. So this kind of ties into what we just talked about with Corman and Ord, as far as concerns that perhaps sort of bubbling up within the fandom. In early June, I think Murphy's Multiverse, they posted an article with the Miss Marvel co-creator and executive producer.
Sana Amanat, who's the co-creator of the Miss Marvel comics, and she's also the executive producer on the show. She, I think the question was put to her about Daredevil, because Sana has been an editor on the Mark Waid run. And, the question was whether a more upbeat Matt Murdock can be adaptable in the MCU. And she said, her direct quote was, "I don't see why not. Mark Waid's run was pretty seminal. We've never seen that kind of story, and I love the spin on that. And it was such an unexpected take on the character. In the same way, I wouldn't be surprised if they did something like that in the MCU. Why not? We like to take risks, and this is the fun part of exploring multiple stories. So maybe." So ever since this quote came out, and a lot of the conversation online has been, oh, they're doing the Mark Waid run. They're going to do a light version of Daredevil and a fun Daredevil. And the thing is, we don't really know what they're planning. This is just a quote from a producer on another show who we don't think has any connection with the Daredevil project. Maybe she does, most likely not.
I don't get the impression she does.
Yeah, I don't get it either. She was just talking about the fact that it has been done in the comics and it can be done on live action. So sure, it can happen, but this is kind of just like wishful thinking for now. So there's no need for fans to just, start worrying about it or thinking about it. But of course, fandom is gonna fandom. Any code that comes out is going to be taken as, oh, it has been set in stone now. It's been decided. It's gonna happen. But another thing that we want to maybe touch on is that the Waid run was not all rainbows and sunshines. And you guys can vouch for that too. Anyone who has read the Waid run.
Have we all read it?
Yeah, yes.
I've read it. Not in a while, but I've read it.
I can remember, because I was a new comics reader and I jumped in with Kevin Smith to Bendis. I jumped in with that volume. And every time a new writer would come along, I would go, what is this? Because it would be different and it would take me a minute. It was the same with Waid. I was like, I remember the shift because it was so pretty and so bright and going, well, I don't know what I'm doing here. And then though, you get into it and just like we just talked about, it is a different kind of dark.
Yes, I mean, on the surface, it feels very light because I when I was reading it, I just finished the Bendis and Malieve run, and those were very dark.
Mm-hmm. And like
Brubaker got
all those very, really dark and gritty runs, and then you come into Waid, and on the surface, it feels very light.
Chris Samney's art is that style, it is.
Bright and colorful, and I love the fact that there's Kristen there, and all those amazing things are happening. But at the same time, it's dealing with Matt's depression, and Foggy has cancer, and like all those really crazy things are happening. So not everything is positive, right? Because at the core of it, if you get into the bones, it is still Daredevil. It's just a different take on it with a different writer, but at the core of it, it's the same guy who's depressed, and he lives a dual life, and
the struggle, because that's the whole big running joke is everybody knows he's Daredevil. No, I'm not Daredevil. It's probably the run I will go back to the most. If that gives anybody any kind of like comfort, it's the most rereadable run. It's the most enjoyable run to me, and not again because it's like light and funny and fluffy. It's not that at all. I just think it's one of the better like story runs, across the board stories.
Right. The storytelling, I think it plumbs a lot of depths that don't immediately seem apparent when you first dig in. But yeah, like you said, Aisha, fandom's gonna fandom. We did want to address this earlier, but we definitely wanted to include it in this pod that, for anyone out there who is still dealing with any doubts, I just think, as always, take a lot of things you hear on the internet with a huge grain of salt. People will speculate the shit out of something for as long as they give us time to do it. And, we don't know. We know Daredevil is in development. We don't know when exactly it'll go into production. So we came across this a lot over the course of this campaign. When people don't have any news, people are going to
just make up news, just grasp on. And it's all subjective. It's all subjective anyways. When the show comes out, it may be dark to some people. It might not be, to you. Waid did strip down he put Matt through some stuff because I always go back to Akari. Isn't Akari like one of the worst things you could put Matt through?
Absolutely. I want to see that in live action.
I want to see that too.
If you don't know what we're talking about, go pick up the Mark Waid run.
I'm not going to spoil that for anybody either, but you got to.
I'd love to see Kristen McDuffie come.
I mean, she would totally fit into, if the chatter bears out and we see our boy kind of introduced in She-Hulk, in, the law world, who knows,
So many characters that could just pop up. So exciting.
All right, so we're going to just wrap up this, just touching upon a few other concerns and speculations that we've seen from the overall fandom. This continues to come up, and it still comes up, especially with news of the Disney Plus project. But, the worry is that they're not going to acknowledge the previous show at all. It's going to be a hard reboot. Guys, if you want to know what we think about hard reboots, soft reboots, all the different kinds of ways they could tell the story, we have recorded so many different episodes and live streams and everything in between. I think we have made our positioning on this clear.
What would an acknowledgement to the preview? I don't even know what that would feel like or look like. What would they have to say for people to be like, yep, that's it? Or then the other side go, that's just fan service. That doesn't mean anything.
I think you've kind of pointed out that this is the difficulty that you're going to run into with any project. Some people are going to be happy and some people won't. I think our collective position on this has always been why decide whether you're going to be happy or not before there's even anything to judge?
I mean, is acknowledgement enough just having our cast back? Would that be
honestly
enough?
I think having our cast back would be a huge acknowledgement.
Yeah.
I know we only have 5 minutes to work with from No Way Home, but we've talked about this, the look and the feel and the way he held himself and the way he communicated. That was our Matt Murdock. That was not a rebooted Matt Murdock. Now, are they going to do they have to ever be hey, remember when you did this thing, and then insert reference to obscure scene in season 1? I don't think so. I think, life moves on. Life moves on for Matt. Life has moved on in that fictional universe. I don't intend to worry about whether they're going to.
Oh, yeah, maybe it'll be something remember that time Frank Castle chained you to the rooftop?
Yeah, it's going to be a scene of Matt picking up chains, and he'll be like, remember that time?
I'll be looking forward to that conversation. I've been waiting till the end of season 2 for Frank to say, hey, I'm back, Red.
Yeah, just rattle the chains.
Thing with all this is, the way I look at it, Kevin Feige, he announced that Charlie Cox is going to be Daredevil going forward. And then he showed up in No Way Home. And then they pulled the distribution rights quicker than they had to. Like, that is the biggest acknowledgement for me, like, because the thing is, previously, from what our understanding was, that the distribution rights didn't have to end in 2022. We never expected, like, we thought maybe they had, Netflix still had it for a few more years. The reason they expedited this and they're now all back on Disney Plus along with the rest of their MCU shows, it is a big sign that Marvel Studios is, preparing something.
Long-term plans. That's what Feige does best, honestly. He lays the track for the next 3, 5, 10 years. And again, we've theorized, well, they could wait. They could wait it out. They can wait the Netflix deal out and give it a few more years. But
Oh, we had a lot of people telling us they had to wait it out.
Oh, yeah. And the thing is, from some of the articles I read, they paid a lot of money to bring them back earlier. They didn't have to do that if they didn't have planned already.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
okay, another thing, it's unrelated to this, but I was on Reddit last night and I was reading some comments from people who were talking about, which is the best MCU show, Marvel show, not MCU show, Marvel show on Disney Plus. And people were saying, Daredevil. And then some people were coming back and saying, it's not on Disney Plus. And where people were asking, where are you? Are you not in the US? And yes, I am. Okay, so it's a reminder for people who apparently have missed this. But if you're in North America or in UK and Daredevil is on Disney Plus, please change your
Like parental control settings. You have to set up a pin, but they're there.
Because by default, I think it's set up for TV 14. And since May, you can go and change the setting and you'll be able to see a lot more content, including all the old Netflix Marvel shows, including Daredevil. So please go change and watch Daredevil.
This has been a PSA. But yeah, I mean, these are all great points. Going back to the original question of like, what is it going to take? I do think I agree with like, as long as they bring the cast back, I think that is more than enough acknowledgement.
Yeah, and I don't know about you guys, but with the snap and with the amount of time, with the pandemic and everything, like 400 years has passed anyways. It would feel weird if they picked right back up with they're in Nelson like meets and,
change in 5 years. I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago. So
like time passes even in shows.
It does. And just like real life, people evolve and then, they're at a different point in life. So.
And I also don't think we would ever want like another like origin story. Let's strip Matt down again and take him back. Like, I'm ready for him to go. Let's go. Let's be Daredevil. Let's go.
And that's why they brought the shows back. You can go and rewatch it. It's all on the same platform now.
If you want the origin. But yes, I do look forward to having the show really jump into a completely different stage of Matt's superhero life. And you know what would actually be great? Like, now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of want there to be sort of as few callbacks as possible to like the specifics of the previous shows, only so that when they bring back Frank or when they bring back Dex, like, oh shit.
It can be like next level if they want to, like just a different level. Yeah. You don't want something that's going to take you like out of it. You want to be in this new story. Look, we know this is why we're here, because we fell in love with that show. We do, but it's okay to move forward. It's okay. Let's go.
I want to be able to move forward knowing that they're honoring a character that started with the Netflix shows and then just surprise me. Like, surprise me with what you're going to throw at me. I think there's so many possibilities.
Give us something new.
And I guess our last point that we had was, the fans who are worried that anything Disney Plus is going to do, it's going to ruin Daredevil. I don't think this isn't a predominant majority opinion. I think they're just.
But also, this is not just a Disney Plus thing. I know that if this had stayed on Netflix has not made people happy over the years either. They've canceled a lot of stuff. They've left people hanging. So even if you've not been happy with maybe what you've seen on Disney Plus, there are showrunners who run shows for seasons like Into the Ground. This is not just a Disney Plus thing. You're either going to enjoy it, find something that you love about it and latch on to it, or you're just not.
And again, for us, at the end of the day, we choose to lead with excitement and cautious optimism because we have invested a lot of time in the show and then in these last few years campaigning for the show to return. And I just think it's such an absolute waste if after all that time your first instinct is just to be like a complete
It's gonna
downer
suck. Yeah.
about it. So, everyone is entitled to their own feelings and their own ways of dealing with it. But I guess, if you're going to listen to us talk about it, like,
We're gonna get hyped. We're gonna get hyped.
Right.
yeah,
Just the fact that the show is coming back is a huge win by itself.
huge win. So, speaking of hype, I think this is a great transition into giving a little preview of.
The summer of Save Daredevil, summer of Save Daredevil, summer of Save Daredevil.
So, by the time you listen to this, we probably have already posted a few things about it, but we as a team are so excited to be back at San Diego Comic-Con this year. We're going to have a much bigger team than we did in 2019. But if you saw us in 2019, we did all the things then, and we're going to do all the things now.
This is going to be my first one.
Oh my
It's
God.
going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be the first San Diego Comic-Con for a number of our team. I know Shelby, Rhiannon, and I are very determined to make sure y'all experience this con.
Oh my God, this is all I've been talking about for the past few months, even at work. Like, and a customer comes in and says, "Oh, do you have any plans for the summer?" "Oh yeah, I'm going to San Diego Comic-Con."
And like just thinking back to 2019, which again I did that with Shelby and Rhiannon, it was insanity. I don't know how we did.
I don't know either because 2019 was the year. Like, I mean, cancellation felt so new,
Yeah,
and we
Yeah.
went from that to Rhiannon and I went to Wales and Wales Comic Con, and we went to see Betrayal in London. 2019 was such a we just did not stop.
we didn't
in
stop.
2019.
We didn't stop.
And San Diego, I don't know how we did all the things we did at San Diego Comic. We just didn't stop. We just went from one thing to another. It was wild.
It started from Ace in January, where you, Phyllis, and I, you were
Mhm.
there, and then it was Wales, and then it was London, and then Betrayal, and then San Diego Comic-Con after that, and then New Comic-Con.
It was. But San Diego, just to know that Phyllis, Rhiannon, and I did all
By
the stuff we
ourselves.
did with
You guys managed, yeah.
3 people.
That was crazy.
Yeah. So I just want to say that I'm thrilled. We're going to have a bigger team
Yes,
this
same.
year. For those of you who are a fan of this podcast of Talk Daredevil, we will actually be attending also as press. So we really are hoping that we can do some additional.
So Kevin Feige, hit me up, Kevin Feige.
If anyone from Marvel Studios or Disney PR happen to listen to this, we are humbly going to accept your invitation to be on the press list. Just get
Yes.
in touch, contact@talkdaredevil.com. But I think what's also exciting about that is we are also going to plan, in addition to hosting a bomb meetup, we're going to be at Bar Basic again, best pizza, in the gas lamp, just such a good time with like good people, so
Chill. It's such a good atmosphere.
such a great atmosphere. That's going to be Thursday night, 6 to 8. We're not sure when this episode's going to release, but time you listen to this, tickets should be available. Snag a ticket. It's all free.
Podcast editor's note here. Tickets have gone on sale, but unfortunately they sold out in 2 minutes. We are so excited that you guys are this excited, but we realize some of you might have missed your chance. So please go to the event. There's a link on our website. Go to the event and go ahead and put yourself on the wait list. If we get cancellations or if we find additional room at the facility, we're going to try to fit as many people as we can because we want all of our fans there. So don't be discouraged. Go put yourself on the wait list and we'll see what we can do.
But yeah, in addition to making some super cool swag, we so cannot wait to get this stuff in our hands and take pictures of it for you guys. This is going to be stuff that we're handing out pretty exclusively at San Diego Comic-Con and New York Comic-Con. But I think, again, as you're listening to this, we probably have a fundraiser going on at the moment on our Ko-fi, however you want to say it, page. So definitely go check out our social media accounts for any of those details. We're doing a cool thing where if you donate $25 and up, we're going to make sure we get you a piece of that new swag. And again, I don't want to hype it up too much, but it's going to be so cool.
I'm just excited. I'm just so excited to get out and just make contact with people again. Because people are People are so gracious and so excited when they come up to us, and that's my favorite part.
Absolutely. And especially because we are, trying to make this transition from just a Save the Show campaign into a place for the fans, for this Daredevil fan community. We really want to make sure that you guys know that this is what we are dedicated to doing and building right now, leading up to whenever the Daredevil show will premiere on Disney Plus. Like, we are hoping to start ramping up the work to create that space for all of you. So, part of being able to attend San Diego Comic-Con as press means that hopefully we'll get to cover just more stuff on for the pod. We're hoping to live stream. We're hoping to do some write-ups about our experience there. Hopefully we'll be accessing some great panels. One big thing that came out before we started recording this podcast is that Marvel Studios is confirmed to be at San Diego Comic-Con this year in Hall H. I have talked about this. Kevin Feige loves to put on a good show. And if Kevin Feige decides to put on a good show and bring our man Charlie Cox out, we want to be in that room there for that show. And if that does happen, we will be writing up, recording whatever we need to do to share that experience with you. They have so much stuff. It's almost like too much stuff, which is why, despite quote unquote scoopers, insiders saying, oh, Marvel Studios won't be there because D23 is happening this year, even though Marvel Studios has not missed a Hall H since 2015, which was, I think, only because they didn't have anything to promote at that time. They've always been there on the same as D23 years. So I wasn't worried at all. But yeah, it's been a long time though since we've been in a Marvel room. So who knows what they're going to do, but just knowing historically about Marvel and Marvel Studios, they just know how to put on a good time. I think that also there was news that Disney Plus is actually going to have a booth on the floor this year. I was actually just downtown recently for a jury summons, and I saw the She-Hulk banners outside the court.
Yeah.
I just think there's going to be a lot of cool stuff, and hopefully a lot of cool stuff for us to cover via Talk Daredevil, via our YouTube, that we can bring to you.
That's what I was thinking about, because when all these scoopers start saying, oh, there's not going to be any Marvel Studios presence, and then the banner showed, I'm like, hello? Something is definitely happening, so.
I mean, again, people on the internet going to internet.
Yes.
But if you ever want a well thought out, logical reason take, be sure to follow us on social media.
Yes.
Because the last San Diego Comic-Con, the last one was
2019.
Was when they announced all these shows, right?
Yep, they were announced. They basically announced all of Phase 4.
Wow, that seems like so.
So now it's time for Phase 5.
Like, to think of all the content we've gotten. There was so a pause for so long and nothing was happening. Now all these things that have happened.
I just don't understand sometimes how they can keep adding stuff to their whenever they announce, because they announced so many shows before already. Again, I think we were trying to, before we started recording, we were trying to remember what do they have to announce, and we'd forgotten Armor Wars, we'd forgotten Ironheart, we forgot Secret Invasion. There's just so many things that they had already announced previously. And then there's all the stuff that they keep announcing after they air shows, like the Echo show. I'm gonna just say the Agatha Harkness show, even though I'm very not excited. The Loki season 2.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, and the group
What If season 2?
Oh god, Wonder Man. Wonder Man was announced as a possible show.
I don't know anything about Wonder Man, but it's all this new stuff. Oh, and then of course Daredevil,
Daredevil, Thunderbolts movie, was that what it was too?
I think it's a Thunderbolts movie. So there's a lot going on, and I'm I don't know how or when, or I'm just saying, everyone, just be prepared. There's a lot of Marvel content coming our way.
There's got to be something that's going to be announced that nobody knows yet, right?
Oh, absolutely.
There's got to be something.
I mean, we haven't even touched, I'm not a part of that overall fandom, but obviously, people have continued to remain hyped for whenever they officially announce X-Men, Fantastic Four casting, all that. That's the big stuff that we haven't even gotten to.
Yeah. You go into any Reddit post these days, that's what people are hyped up about.
Is it
Fantastic Four?
Oh man, I wish I was hyped about Fantastic Four. Maybe I will be one day. I'm just not.
Shelby, you just have to get into Hall H, and Kevin Feige will hype you up for you.
That is true. I remember being hyped at the Bumblebee movie or something, the car with Haley Steinfeld, and I was like, oh my god.
You're like,
I
I
want to
didn't
see
even
this
know I liked
movie.
this movie.
Yeah, I want to
Now I
see
want to
it.
die for it.
That's what Hall H does to you. That's
That
what
is
it
the
does.
energy of that room, which is why it's so much fun,
Right.
which is why we're so glad it's
Right.
back.
Right. And ever since the multiverse of
Mhm.
madness, people are hyped up about Black Bolt and Inhumans again.
Gosh,
So
one day I'm gonna get to hear that word again. Inhumans. I'm gonna get to hear like Inhumans are coming, and I'm gonna be so excited.
So that's just a little sneak peek for you guys. Basically in July, just expect us to be hyping all the fun stuff, and again, we can logically assume that between San Diego Comic-Con and D23, we are in a very good place to hear some additional news, we believe, about the Daredevil show. Now, of course, we don't know, but it's just kind of a reasonable assumption that those being two very big press events for Marvel Studios.
I just wonder too if because that would put She-Hulk being what 3 weeks out from San Diego Comic-Con. I wonder
Yeah.
if that's when we're gonna get like the full She-Hulk trailer. Is that when
Probably.
we're gonna
Oh, for
see
sure.
Matt?
That is definitely when
We're
we're
gonna see
getting.
it. Is that when we're gonna see Matt? Is that when we're gonna see Matt?
I'm just saying, I think that our wait for I'm not going to say definitively, but I am very hopeful that we will get some official nugget of news about Daredevil soon. Because San Diego is in July, D23 is in September, so not super far behind. And then, just to kind of wrap this up, just a reminder for those of you who did join us at New York Comic Con, both in 2019 and last year, 2021, we will also be back there with an amazing team presence. Guys, you are both going to New York Comic Con. Remind me what the dates are.
The New York Comic Con is Thursday, October 6th till Sunday, October 9th.
Woohoo!
So we'll be there. We're like, most of us are there for all 4 days.
Mhm.
And yeah, we'll be rolling out the announcements later on in the summer when the meetup is going to be. So we'll be there.
This feels, which makes me feel like full of warm fuzzies. This feels like, how it was in 2019, when we were going nonstop and we were
Yes.
really
Oh
feeding
my
off
God.
of that fan energy. So we were just so thrilled and we were just so, so excited to be
We
back.
were like in 2019, can we buy a banner? Can we get a helicopter?
It's actually kind of nice to not have to worry about that anymore, actually, and just
Can
really
we take out an
focus.
ad in a trade? How much is that? Do we have
It's, by the way, a
$25,000?
lot of money to take out a full page ad in a trade. We have researched this before.
I guess we'll just hand out these fans. That'll be cool.
Which we will have fans again this year. The fans are awesome. San Diego is beautiful, but it is hot in July. So if you need a fan and you're attending San Diego
We
Comic-Con
all
this
need the
year,
fan.
please come find us. You can't miss us. We're going to be in our new Save Daredevil team shirts. We have a pretty super cool, very limited piece of swag that if you see us, we're gonna split this batch between San Diego and New York. But we're not gonna have a ton. I literally can't make any more hints because I don't want to give
No.
anything away. But it's gonna be so much fun, and we really hope that you see us and you find us this year because we want to give you all the cool stuff. So yeah, that's as much as I can tease. But it's gonna be a good time. So I mean, I think that just about wraps it up. I hope this was a nice little recap of some of the stuff that we've been hearing, and maybe hopefully you're satisfied with our answers. But if you have any other questions that you need answers to about anything to do with Daredevil or Save Daredevil, you can always find us on social media. We are actually at Saved Daredevil on Twitter now, and we remain Save Daredevil everywhere else. If you are listening to this on YouTube, you can leave us some comments. We would love to see what you have to say, try to give you some answers. As we've also mentioned before, a lot of the things, especially that came up in the first section of this podcast, as far as like questions, concerns that people have been having, we've addressed a lot of this either on our website or in various podcast episodes or in a live stream. So please make sure you really check out all of our content if you're curious to hear what we think. Other than that, we are going to hopefully see some of you this July. We will hopefully see some of you in October. And the rest of you, thank you so much for just always supporting us and following us and being interested to hear what we have to say about all the things. And yeah, we're not going anywhere. We're going to keep doing this.
No, you guys keep us going.
You
like
do.
for real.
And we can't wait till we have more juicy Daredevil news to really sink our teeth into.
Oh, there's going to be so much. It's going to be so much.
It's going to be a lot of fun to be able to do that with y'all. So, all right. thank you again, and we're going to catch you next time. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Kevin, wear the hat. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Talk Daredevil, the official podcast of the Save Daredevil campaign. For more information on Save Daredevil, please visit our website at SaveDaredevil.com. Remember, Murdochs always get back up.